Did you know that some of Hollywood's most iconic roles almost went to someone else? What if we told you that some legendary performances were nearly lost to the world? In this video, we're diving into the 10 biggest roles in Hollywood that almost didn't happen. From stars nearly losing out on career-defining parts to producers second-guessing their decisions, these stories are full of surprises. Stay tuned as we uncover how fate and a bit of luck changed the course of movie history. You won't believe which actors were almost passed over for these unforgettable roles. Number 10. Audrey Hepburn as Princess Anne in Roman Holiday, 1953. Audrey Hepburn's breakout role as Princess Anne in Roman Holiday is one of the most iconic in Hollywood history. The film made her an overnight sensation and earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress. However, Hepburn almost didn't land the part. The role was originally offered to several well-known actresses, but none of them were quite right for the part. Hepburn, who had been working on Broadway and had a few minor film roles, was virtually unknown when the film's producers took a gamble on her. It wasn't until director William Wyler saw her perform in Gigi that he decided she was perfect for the role. Still, the decision to cast Hepburn was not unanimous. Some believed she wasn't the glamorous leading lady they envisioned for the part, but her fresh charm and understated elegance ultimately won them over. The rest, as they say, is history. Had Hepburn not been chosen, the role might have gone to another actress like Elizabeth Taylor or Grace Kelly. But Hepburn's portrayal of Princess Anne, with her mix of innocence, grace, and wit, set the tone for her entire career. What if she hadn't been cast? Would her rise to stardom have been so meteoric? Number 9. Humphrey Bogart as Rick Blaine in Casablanca, 1942. Casablanca is often regarded as one of the greatest films ever made, and Rick Blaine is one of Humphrey Bogart's most iconic roles. But surprisingly, the role almost went to someone else. The part of Rick, a cynical nightclub owner caught in the middle of World War II-era intrigue, was originally offered to actors like George Raft, who was a big name at the time. Raft, however, turned it down, and so did several other actors, including Paul Henreid and Cary Grant. When Bogart was finally cast, it was somewhat of a gamble for Warner Brothers, as he was not yet a leading man on the same level as some of the other actors up for the part. At the time, he was mostly known for playing supporting roles and tough guy parts in gangster films, but director Michael Curtis believed that Bogart's distinct, world-weary demeanor would be perfect for Rick. The decision paid off, with Bogart delivering one of his most memorable performances. Had Bogart not been cast, it's hard to imagine anyone else embodying the role quite as well. His chemistry with Ingrid Bergman, along with his unique portrayal of a man torn between love and duty, became the foundation of Casablanca's timeless appeal. Could another actor have made the same impact? It's a question that still lingers. Number 8. Marilyn Monroe as Lorelei Lee in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, 1953. Marilyn Monroe's role as the gold-digging showgirl Lorelei Lee in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes is one of her most beloved performances, yet she almost didn't land the role. Initially, the part was considered for actresses like Betty Grable and even Judy Garland, but Monroe at the time was still trying to prove herself as more than just a bombshell. She had yet to land a major leading role that showcased her full range as an actress. Monroe was initially hesitant to take on the role of Lorelei Lee because she felt the character's shallowness could be seen as a stereotype. However, her decision to take the part turned out to be a game-changer. Monroe's combination of comedic timing, innocence, and seductive charm made her the perfect fit for the role, and her performance as Lorelei cemented her status as a Hollywood icon. Had Monroe not been cast, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes may not have achieved the same level of success, and Monroe's career might have taken a very different path. Would Betty Grable have brought the same magic to the role? It's hard to say, but Monroe's portrayal of Lorelei is now unforgettable, defining her career as both a star and a comedic actress. Number 7. James Dean as Jim Stark in Rebel Without a Cause, 1955. James Dean's portrayal of the troubled teenager Jim Stark in Rebel Without a Cause is nothing short of legendary. However, the role almost didn't go to Dean. Initially, the film's director, Nicholas Ray, had considered casting other actors like Marlon Brando or Montgomery Clift for the part, but Ray believed that Dean, with his unique intensity and brooding nature, was the right choice for the role of the misunderstood youth. James Dean had already appeared in a few minor roles before landing Rebel Without a Cause, but he was still relatively unknown. The role of Jim Stark became his defining moment, and it established him as a symbol of the alienation and angst of the post-World War II generation. Dean's untimely death at the age of 24 only added to the mystique surrounding his career and his performance in Rebel Without a Cause. Had Dean not been cast, would the film have been as impactful? It's hard to imagine anyone else bringing the same level of depth and vulnerability to the role of Jim Stark. Could another actor have captured the essence of the troubled youth in the same way? Perhaps, but it's unlikely. Number 6. Katharine Hepburn as Eleanor of Aquitaine in The Lion in Winter, 1968. Katharine Hepburn is known for playing strong, independent women, but her portrayal of Eleanor of Aquitaine in The Lion in Winter was a departure from many of her earlier roles. She almost didn't take on the part, as it was initially offered to other actresses, including Ingrid Bergman. The role of Eleanor, the queen caught in a power struggle with her husband, King Henry II, was a complex one, and it required an actress with both regal authority and emotional depth. Hepburn, who had recently experienced a few career setbacks, was initially hesitant to take on the role. However, she ultimately decided to accept it, and her performance became one of the most memorable of her career. Her chemistry with Peter O'Toole, who played Henry II, added a layer of intrigue and tension to the film that made it a classic. Had Hepburn not been cast, The Lion in Winter might have lacked the powerhouse performance that elevated it. Hepburn's portrayal of Eleanor gave the film a gravitas that made it stand out among the many historical dramas of the time. Would another actress have had the same commanding presence? It's hard to imagine. Number 5. Clark Gable as Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind, 1939. Clark Gable's portrayal of Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind is one of the most iconic in film history, but his casting was not a given. Initially, many other actors were considered for the role, including Gary Cooper and Ronald Colman. However, it was Gable who eventually landed the part, though it took some convincing. At the time, Gable was primarily known for playing tough guy roles in gangster films, and some believed he was too rough for the part of the suave, charming Rhett. The decision to cast Gable was made after much deliberation, and the results spoke for themselves. His chemistry with Vivien Leigh, who played Scarlett O'Hara, was undeniable, and their on-screen relationship became one of the most memorable in cinematic history. What if another actor had been chosen? Would the film have been as successful? Perhaps, but Gable's performance as Rhett Butler became inseparable from the film's legacy. His charisma and wit defined the role, and it's hard to imagine anyone else in the part. Number 4. Gene Kelly as Don Lockwood in Singin' in the Rain, 1952. Gene Kelly's performance in Singin' in the Rain is legendary, especially his iconic dance sequence in the rain. However, Kelly almost didn't play the role of Don Lockwood. The part was initially offered to other actors, including Donald O'Connor and Fred Astaire. Kelly was known for his athleticism and precision in dance, but his involvement in the project wasn't guaranteed. The film, which is considered one of the greatest movie musicals of all time, went through several casting changes and creative differences before Kelly was ultimately confirmed for the role. His portrayal of the charming, singing, and dancing movie star became a defining moment in Hollywood's musical film legacy. Had Kelly not been cast, the film may have taken a different direction. Would another actor have brought the same energy and flair to the role of Don Lockwood? It's unlikely that anyone else would have brought the same level of charisma and performance skill, making Kelly's casting all the more crucial to the film's success. Number 3. Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra in Cleopatra, 1963. Elizabeth Taylor's portrayal of the legendary Egyptian queen Cleopatra is one of the most glamorous and controversial performances in film history. However, her casting almost didn't happen. Initially, the role was considered for actresses like Joan Collins, who was already a major star, and even Ava Gardner, who had a strong presence in historical dramas. However, when the production of Cleopatra faced delays, the role was reevaluated, and it was decided that Taylor would be the ideal choice, given her immense star power and beauty. The film's production was notorious for its chaos, and Taylor's casting was not universally welcomed at the time. Many critics and studio executives believed that Taylor's diva-like behavior and tumultuous relationship with Richard Burton, her co-star and future husband, would make the film a disaster. Despite the challenges, Taylor's performance became iconic, and Cleopatra went on to be one of the most expensive films ever made at the time. Had another actress taken the role, it's hard to imagine the same level of intrigue and scandal that surrounded Taylor's portrayal. Could anyone have captured Cleopatra's allure and drama in the same way? It's doubtful. Number 2. John Wayne as Rooster Cogburn in True Grit, 1969. John Wayne's portrayal of Rooster Cogburn in True Grit is one of his most beloved roles, earning him an Academy Award for Best Actor. However, Wayne almost didn't take on the part. The role was originally offered to more rugged, tough guy actors like Lee Marvin, who was considered a suitable choice for the role of the grizzled U.S. Marshal. Wayne, already a Hollywood legend at the time, was initially hesitant as he felt that the part was too different from his typical roles and might not suit his aging persona. But Wayne's desire to prove that he could still be a leading man in his later years pushed him to accept the role. His performance as the hard-drinking, one-eyed marshal earned rave reviews and redefined his career in the later stages of his life. If Wayne hadn't taken on the role of Rooster Cogburn, the film might not have achieved the same level of success. Would another actor have brought the same mixture of humor, toughness, and heart to the character? It seems unlikely. Number 1. Grace Kelly as Frances Stevens in To Catch a Thief, 1955. Grace Kelly's role as the glamorous and witty Frances Stevens in Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief is a perfect example of her on-screen elegance. Yet, the role almost went to another actress. Initially, Hitchcock had considered casting actresses like Kim Novak or even his favorite, Ingrid Bergman, in the role. However, after some consideration, Hitchcock decided to offer the part to Grace Kelly, who was at the peak of her career and on her way to becoming Princess of Monaco. The casting of Kelly as Frances Stevens made sense, as she had already demonstrated her ability to play sophisticated women with a hint of mystery in her earlier films. Her chemistry with Cary Grant, the film's lead, was undeniable and elevated the film to classic status. Had Hitchcock cast another actress, would Catch a Thief have become the same thrilling masterpiece? It's hard to imagine the film without Kelly's elegant presence. Can you imagine how different Hollywood would be if these iconic roles had gone to someone else? The stars we know and love might have never left their mark. If you enjoyed uncovering these behind-the-scenes stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more shocking Hollywood secrets. You won't want to miss what's coming next.